What is the difference between laziness and rest?
Rest is not your shield, it's actually your sword. It actually makes you go forward. For me to say, oh, rest, but people are going to say, when I rest, my mind doesn't relax. Being lazy in itself is not a bad thing. We are human beings, not human doing.
You are also a financial freedom designer.
I knew that if I ever had to stop working, I needed passive income. If you don't know how to make money while you sleep, you will work till the last breath. If you see 99.9% of the world, including my past self as well, we all run around for money. We still want high performance, high quality, and a great life. I heard from somebody is like, oh, I want to live a cool life like a beggar, but just with a lot of money. If you're going to keep hating rich, nobody is going to get rich. You can achieve whatever you clearly refine and define as a goal very easily. You're only one hit away from financial freedom. Just one good hit.
Hi everyone. So welcome today to this podcast, and we have an amazing author with me. His name is Dr. Shakti Katyal, and he has written a book, $1 Million Nap. So it's an interesting topic, and this book has won International Author Excellence Award. So I have this author with me today. So let's, without wasting any time, get to the author directly, and we will have a very interesting discussion today to understand about this book, $1 Million Nap. So let's get to the author. Welcome, Dr. Shakti, on this podcast. And first of all, congratulations on winning this International Author Excellence Award for your book, The $1 Million Nap.
Yes. Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much for the introduction. Yes, and I'm very proud and honored to win that award, and also to be able to write my thoughts into this book, which seems to be resonating with some people. So yeah, I'm hoping to further my cause, which I'll explain in the coming discussion. Yeah.
Great. So the $1 Million Nap. So it's an interesting topic and wonderful heading of the book. So how did you come for this particular topic of the book?
Yeah, it's, actually also still very surprising to me that nobody took this name before I did, and that's what, is encouraging for other forthcoming authors as well, that don't keep assuming, as I had some doubts before I wrote this book. I had some experience, but I was like, why would somebody read my book? What have I got to offer? But then, through the workshops that we did, there was a lot of refining. And then, the key point was that, yes, even if there was this concept and this name, probably my version needs to be out there. So yeah, this is how the $1 Million Nap came up with, because I am from a background of finance. And recently I have had experiences in my life where I've changed my life, and I've understood the concept of financial freedom and understood its power, and also brought a lot more spirituality and worked on my mental health, emotional health, and spiritual health and all that. So I've actually recently figured out that I'm probably the only male coach in the age group of 30 and 50 with the combination of finance and spirituality in the whole world, with my credentials apparently. So that was good to know that when you are working on something so authentic, something from directly from the heart, that, God kind of gives you as a gift and say, that's going to be your line. So yeah, so that's where $1 Million Nap comes from, and I'm very happy and proud to have authored this book.
Great. So what is this book all about? I mean, the $1 Million Nap. What
Yes.
will we find inside the book?
Yes. So that's what became interesting as I was going through the process, because as you know, like, we as human beings go through a range of things in our life, and we study so many subjects, and we work in so many different jobs, and things keep changing. So you're not sure which exact subject is your primary and where you can add value to the society. So I had the experience of a burnout at work. And as you with burnout, as you know that nobody actually comes to your door and say, hey, knock, knock, I'm burnout, meet me, So you start feeling those things inside you, and then you realize, okay. And that's what made me actually sit down and work on this concept called rest, which is what this whole book is about, is understanding deeply and widely the concept of rest, because I always thought, okay, rest is important because if you don't rest, then this will happen. If you don't rest, you will become sick or something. So it's like I always looked at best at this concept as a shield, in a defensive way. But I learned that rest is not your shield; it's actually your sword. It actually makes you go forward, and it is a free thing, as they say. Best things in life are free. So but a lot of us either don't rest. We are all used to this hustle culture. So I thought, and why the rush? If you see 99.9% of the world, including my past self as well, we all run around for money. I mean, to some extent, yes, we understand, as they say, money is God in action. But once we start overdoing that, you start seeing things like burnout. You saw during the COVID, we saw the great resignation on LinkedIn, and then there was a quiet quitting, and now we are talking about this whole anti-hustle culture movement, and people are talking about, okay, how we should abolish the 40-hour work week in books like 4-hour work week from Timothy Ferris. So essentially, people have realized that they're missing something. But again, is our lifestyle expenses going down? No, we still want that money. And that's what I'm basically doing with my book. So the $1 million is basically depicting that we still want high performance, high quality, and a great life. I'm not saying compromise with life. Yes, I'm a believer of minimalism. I'm not too much for consumerism, but at the same time, I do want maybe one BMW, for example, not 100 BMWs. I don't want to, and I want maybe one nice apartment for myself. But without compromising on your lifestyle choices, how you can achieve that without having to sacrifice a lot of happiness and health and relationships. So that's what this book is all about.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's also this belief that rest, when people take, they don't feel good, or they feel guilt about being resting, and we don't celebrate rest. So when we are resting,
we actually stigmatize rest.
Yes. So what do you have to say on this?
It is so relevant that you brought this up. And look, I must say that some of these topics may sound like, oh yeah, we've been there, done that, we know you're trying to tell us this. But look, repeating is reinforcing, and our subconscious minds need some important facts to be repeated. As somebody said, oh, you say very nice things and I like what you say, but you repeat a lot. And then this guy that I heard, he said, you know what, all the best things in life are repeated. Because you eat every few hours, you repeat that, your heart beats every few seconds, you take shower every day, you go to school or work every day, and you meet your mom and dad, or whatever you do. You would see some people even go to the extent and say you are what you keep doing repeatedly. So that's what I'm saying, that even though we all rest to some extent, and we all feel guilt and that's what actually my next forthcoming book is going to be all about, is taking the guilt out of rest.
That's very important, actually.
There you go, because it's very easy and easy said and done. Like for me to say, oh, rest, but people are going to say, when I rest, my mind doesn't relax, even if I'm putting my weight back on the chair, but I'm still on like a motor. It's like you've stopped the car, but you've not turned off the engine. So that's what my next book is going to be all about. So I think the first book is about stillness, but the next book is about calmness. And so, the nervous system reset and understanding about our nervous system, which is actually what I'm doing as well as we speak. So it's not easy, but it is very important. And in the subsequent questions, I'll explain more about it. Yeah.
Because I also have this kind of notion in my head that while I'm resting, so many tasks were going on in my head, and I was feeling that, instead of just resting and relaxing, it's better that I just get on to the work and all that. So I used to feel that I'm lazy. I'm not resting. So I mean, what is the difference between laziness and rest?
There you go. Thank you so much for bringing me to that topic. And yes, my next book is talking about laziness. And I know it's a provocative topic, because people are going to say, in this world of, fitness, you're promoting laziness, but I'm not saying that, firstly, let's understand the word laziness, because there are some some of these terminologies that have been given to us, like when we are born, nobody knows what laziness is, or is it a good thing or not a good thing. So, but yes, I think if people listening to us will be, if I ask the questions to our audience that how many of you have been called lazy at some point in your life, chances are almost everyone has been called lazy. Yes. If nobody else has called them lazy, then we ourselves call ourselves lazy. So I actually went into some AI tools and I asked about the literal definition of the word lazy. And while there were multiple sort of estimates through the etymologists, but I figured that laziness by the literal definition means having the power to do something but choosing not to do that. Which to me sounds very neutral. It's not a bad thing, because if I've got the power to hurt someone, or if I've got the power to jump a red light, but I'm choosing not to, that's laziness of a good kind. So the laziness, the term lazy in itself doesn't have a judgment built into it, but society, and to some, some analysts actually say that it all goes back to the same era, about 250 years ago, 200 years ago, when we started having the Industrial Revolution. They needed, they set up factories. So the rich of those era set up factories, and they had an idea that whatever we will create, if we are able to create that in a certain price, we will be able to convince people and say, hey, this is the shiny new thing, come buy this. And these guys don't need it. So people in the 17th, 18th century did not need all that, but they created through advertising, and all that. But then the other thing was, to complete the picture, they needed people to work as labor in those factories to create those products at such a volume, such a scale. So the thing is, if you would go to someone who's resting today, has a piece of land and, they have enough, you'll be telling them, hey, come work for me. They'll be like, what for? As you know, the famous Indian, there is a famous Indian meme in India where this guy goes to this person and says, hey, bro, you're sitting and resting here. What are you doing? You're sleeping, you're snoozing. Come on, buddy. He says, why should I get up and do this? And this person says, oh, well, if you get up, you can study, you can work. And then he said, okay, then what? It's like, okay, then you'll earn money. He says, then what? He says, then you can make a big house, you'll have a big car, like beautiful bungalow. And he said, then what? He said, then in that bungalow, you'll be able to sleep peacefully. He said, that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm doing right now. So what's the point of having to go through? So they had to create some animosity or negativity or judgment around that, some moral kind of a, negativity around that term called laziness. So anybody who was resting was supposed to be looked badly by society. And unfortunately, I'm not pinpointing at any one person, but this is how the term laziness became a negative term from like a neutral term. So obviously, if I'm being lazy about studying or delivering like an important piece of work or going to the gym where I have to, then yes, that's not a good laziness. But laziness, the word in itself, is not negative. If I say so. But, it is important to make people understand, because you're right. And that's why I'm writing my second book, because when we are talking about $1 million nap, yes, we can make people, we can stop people, we can make them, think about it and realize, okay, people through my first book have realized, okay, I'm going to now, maybe take a break, and then, and carry the belief that yes, despite having decent breaks and rest inbuilt, I can still make a lot of money. But the problem is, when somebody gets to that bed, as you said, it's with you and with me also at times. So none of us are perfect. We are all, as the saying is, we are all sick, but the less sick amongst us is the one who's working on their sickness. So that is the other thing. And so the thing is that even now I'm realizing that our nervous systems, work a little bit in the past. It's like, because the deeper we go into our body, the amygdala, which is our ancient brain, it takes a long time. I mean, you as a meditation teacher, I'm thinking, who am I telling? But I'm probably explaining this for the audience. But, our nervous systems take a little bit of time. Like, for example, if I become a CEO or if I become a prime minister, the first time I'm going to go take an oath and go to my office, chances are my inner self we'll still be having that imposter syndrome. We'll be feeling, oh, hang on, have I become a prime minister? Like even now, I'm sitting at a podcast and I published a book. I'm thinking, hang on, I've become an author, a best-selling author. Okay, I'm doing interviews. Because the nervous system is always in the past. It takes a little bit of time. It will take me a few years, different time frames for different things that, So similarly, people have started the journey. I think a lot of us have started the journey where we've at least started taking break and go and sit down. But now the next step is to destigmatize this term called laziness and understand being lazy in itself is not a bad thing. It's a strategic choice. Actually, I asked the tools, okay, what's the term for good laziness? And it said pragmatic. Can you believe this word? And I said another word. It says strategic. So this is what good laziness is. But for good laziness, I have to put the word good next to it. But for bad laziness, we just say laziness. That's unfair, right? So we have to say, oh, that's you being badly lazy. So that's what I'm working through my second book. And people will get to see more about it in the coming days.
Great.
Yes.
So you are also a financial freedom designer,
yes.
right? So financial freedom designer. So you
good name,
design,
yeah?
yes.
I just came.
You design, and you have already achieved that state where you have achieved the retirement stage at a very young age.
Yes.
And you also introduce this particular concept to people, how they can manage their life in a beautiful manner where they can retire early as well, right? So how does this $1 million nap?
Yes.
I mean, can you earn $1 million when you take a good nap is what high-end reader would want to know.
Yes. So I'll tell you about my story and hopefully that will inspire others as well. And, when people, come and work with us through my company called Real and Royal, we have different tiers. So our audience doesn't have to think like, okay, this guy has kind of made some money and now it's easy for him to talk. No, we have different levels. We have levels, let's say if somebody has, for argument's sake, $10,000 and they want to start with that, that's level 1, for example, or even $1,000 for that matter. But then there could be $100,000. Or if in Indian rupees, if I say like, let's say somebody has 1 lakh or 10 lakh or 1 CR, for example. So different levels and we talk to them differently. There's different ways that we solutions for them, in other words. So yes, with the grace of God, I was able to retire as in say, and this is another word that, I keep going back to because retirement has a negative connotation as well. So you see how the society has made the state of non-doing, which is such a big term in our culture, even in Indian culture, in meditation, we always say we are human beings, not human doing. As I've learned from some amazing meditation coaches like John Kabat-Zinn, I think was one amazing coach that I learned a lot from, and many others. Recently, I'm listening to Wendy Jones. But the thing is, yes, I was able to do it because thanks to my parents, some of my, circles or destiny, I was investing in property. And I always knew somehow that your salary is always going to be kind of getting spent with this other thing called lifestyle inflation. The more the promotion you get, the title goes up, and then your lifestyle, you want a better house and a better car, better clothing, everything goes up. And inflation in generally, but then there is a lifestyle inflation. So I knew that if I ever had to stop working, I needed passive income. As simple as that. And somebody very nicely put it as that if you don't know how to make money while you sleep, you will work till the last breath. So it's this concept is not for the rich, and that's the other thing I want to clarify is that I belong to a middle class family. Okay, at best maybe slightly upper middle class. I didn't have a silver spoon. Yes, I got a lot of support from my parents, and I'm very grateful to them. But at the same time, I had my share of struggles. But I reached, after a lot of, let's call it stumbles and gambles and all that. But I have realized that, stop, kind of aiming for anything. And the first belief everybody should carry, I think, which great people and a lot of people carry, maybe a lot of our listeners are ambitious, but the main belief here is that you can achieve whatever you clearly refine and define as a goal very easily. that is a given by God Almighty. If you're spiritual, if you don't believe in that, then at least even scientifically, there are so many surveys out there that say if you write down your goals, if you make them smart and everything, but forget about achieving it. A lot of people actually do not even know about financial freedom. And then once they hear about it, it takes them a long time to start believing in it, because we keep externalizing. I'm like, oh, okay, it must be, that guy got lucky, but no, not like me. So like, as they say, is the self-pity is the biggest luxury, for people. Even I can play a victim card and say, oh, I got, a bad kind of a surgery or whatever, a medical situation, and hence I can't do it. But that's what we are here for, is to firstly making people aware, then make them believe in themselves, and then kind of work with them. And at Real and Royal also, we have both ways. We have the spirituality side of, or psychology for people who don't believe in spirituality, but then there is the scientific side. So we have the forex trading, because at the end of the day, it's ROI, it's mathematics, and and even as I said earlier, money is God in action. So the thing is, for example, if I ask my audiences or Monica, like another thing that I've recently learned is that a lot of females, not saying that all females or all males or anything, but I've realized that a lot of females actually leave the finances to their husbands. And despite being amazing in school and college, and probably for the right reasons, they give the steering wheel to their husbands a lot of the times in many traditional cultures. And they say, okay, you manage finances. And but the thing is that if I ask you, for example, and I don't expect to get the right answer, but this is just to share what's maybe you know it and you'll stump me here. But do you know what percentage you need to make every month to double your money in 1 year?
No idea. No.
Just take a random guess, maybe.
Maybe 30%, 40%?
40%? Okay. So I'll tell you, like, for example, some people say that, some people think, oh, if I need to double my money in 1 year, that's like 100% ROI, yeah? Okay, 100 divided by 12, that's 8% roughly, yeah? But that's not how it works. When you compound it on a monthly basis, I mean, it can be, if you compound it on a daily basis, the number could be different. But typically, if you compound it monthly, we only need 5.5% to double your money in a year. And there are so many streams that you can make far more than that. Forex trading is one. I mean, it's very risky, and I'm not promoting this for everyone. You need a lot of discipline and all that, but it can be learned. It's not robots doing it. It's not people with 4 arms and legs doing it. It's like human beings doing it. And but yeah, for example, you ask ChatGPT how much you can make, how much if you get a good property deal, as I learned from a very good coach that I'm still very grateful, is like, you're only one hit away from financial freedom. Just one good hit. So yeah, that's where, we as coaches, and especially at Real and Royal, we can help people. And that book also talks about it, $1 Million Nap.
Great. So you have already told, but again, what was the inspiration to pen down this book, this great book with this great title?
Yes, thank you so much. The inspiration, I mean, I think a lot of even our audiences would be wanting to write books. I think everybody wants, as we see with a lot of celebrities, wanting to write autobiographies or biographies by the time they're gone, because it is your legacy also. And I think a lot of people have their own unique set of gifts and learnings that they can share. Even if the topic may be common, but their version would be seriously unique. So the thing is, I always wanted to write a book, but then I had amazing coach, Dr. Kailash, who came into my life, and he really made it simple. Firstly, he just cleared the confusion. Then he created confidence into my life. He just told me like that 10-10-10 formula, for example, or and the things that I've already repeated, like why it is important for you to do that. And recently I've also came across a very good group of fellow content creators at this group called Mission Visible, and a company called Dubai On Demand. So the thing is, they are all, and this, couple of people that I can name, Reem and Nancy over there. So what they've done, Monica, is that, remember that there was a time when hardly anybody had phones. So anybody who had a phone, we were like, oh, okay, oh, he's showing off, he's flashy, like now if somebody doesn't have a mobile phone or even a touch phone, then we're like, oh, you don't even have a phone. And then same thing when, initially Facebook and social media started, or MySpace or whatever, then, people who had, oh, okay, he knows, he does Facebook. And now if you don't have a Facebook, even our mothers and grandmothers, we're like, come on, you can at least have a Facebook account, come on, or a WhatsApp account. So this is what is going to happen with, going, public with your content. I think, and I recommend this to everyone, whether it's a book, whether it's a YouTube, whether it's any kind of, even previously people used to write diaries, people used to write columns. So a book, I think, is such a great medium that it is disconnected from electronics. There is very less distraction, and you get very good set of audience who can read. So my inspiration were a lot of people, but first I think there was an inner voice coming that, okay, I think I have been gifted by the society and God Almighty some positive learnings, and some are not so positive, but still positive for others to know, is that, okay, how, and, just a bit about myself so that the audience knows that, I've got some histories. Like I was born in India, then when I was about 20 years, or I think I was about 18 years old when I started working. So I've got about, 20 years plus experience now with me, and I've just given out my age, by the way. And then the thing is, then, I went to New Delhi, went into journalism, and then from media, I went to Australia for higher studies, did my CPA, masters in university, and now I've recently got honorary doctorates in spiritual and financial transformation from two separate and reputed universities, one from Europe, one from US, both validating my experiences. But before they could come on board and give me all these doctorates, I had someone like Dr. Kailash, as you always need a guru, I think. So the thing is that, I thought that I suffered so much in a way. If I was to just look at despite, on the outside, I was doing really well. I had a great job. I had a great title. I was working on high visibility, and I was making decent amount of money. But internally, I was getting crippled. I was feeling, oh my God, my hard work is going up and up and up, but I'm not able to get that satisfaction up. And that midlife crisis or midlife consolidation, we may call it, was striking me. And then COVID came. So COVID was a blessing in disguise that, we all were forced to sit down. So I went through the whole thing, and I just felt, okay, how much, and this is the simple formula. If somebody is looking, okay, Dr. Shakti is on this podcast, he will give us the formula. So this is the simple formula, is like you sit down how much you need every month as a bare minimum for your fixed expenses, whatever that is. Let's say that is like $10,000, for example. And then you sit down and figure how much is your net worth. And I know people in the 20s will not have much in net worth. But again, we are giving a generic formula out, but again, personal tailored solutions are going to be discussed one-to-one. But the thing is that you now have a numerator and you have a denominator. Now you have a number. So for example, your net worth was, let's say, 100,000 and you need 10,000. Now you know you need 10% per month, for example. So now at least you've got a target. Okay, if you get this much. And you know what the beauty about this is the real power of money. The moment you can see the light at the end of the tunnel and you're like, Like, for example, if I ask an average person, I've asked this question to so many people, it's like, when do you think you will reach that point where you no longer have to work, but you still have all your bills paid? Sounds dreamy. People are like, oh, because we've been taught like maybe 60, maybe 65, maybe 70. And you know why? Like, I'm like, okay. And then, initially also, when I heard somebody retiring at 33, 35, I'm like, oh my God, like that lucky piece of, like we don't treat those lucky people, because it's not that we hate those people. We hate the feeling that it generates in us when we look at somebody lucky and we're like, why have I not able to do it? Why is he or she able to do it? So that way is, I think, so once you get those numbers, it is very easy for you to retire. You don't have to wait till 60 and 70. There are so many investment themes, and we structure it in a way that it's not like high risk. It's not like you put everything on the line and go to a casino and do it. There is a method to the madness, as they say. So yes, so there is a system. There are qualified coaches, and then there is the belief, Manika ma'am, as you know, that there is a belief behind all this, is that if you do feel like you deserve it, because sometimes, if for people who believe in spirituality, we are blocking a lot of our blessings, as you know, if we are not ready to receive. If we are, so listening to a lot of positive affirmations is what I would say, because it is not about just creating a fake world for yourself. It is about creating that receptive state, taking that stigma. Like we had the stigma with laziness, there is a lot of stigma with rich people, as we know. So if you're going to keep hating rich, nobody is going to get rich. So yeah, as I heard from somebody, is like, oh, I want to live a cool life like a beggar, but just with a lot of money. And this other saying, I said, oh, make sure you make a lot of money, especially men, if they're listening. Make sure you make a lot of money, because the world is very cruel to the poor. So stop, I think, romanticizing that poverty a lot. That's why, unfortunately, I'm not saying all, some people are genuinely unfortunate, but for some people, they like to be more like a cool beggar, versus like a boring billionaire, let's call it. So I might shut up there.
Yeah. True. So what is the right age that someone needs to come to you if they really want to design their financial freedom life? So,
yeah.
I mean, obviously you would be able to help people at different stages of life, but what, according to you, is the right age?
Yeah. I mean, look, this is a question that I'm still, thinking every now and then and refining. I mean, essentially, if you're looking at the mental conditioning side of it, we know the books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So it's like children very early in the age, need to be made aware of, that abundance mindset kind of principles. Like if you keep telling kids, oh, money doesn't grow on trees and all that. So I think either those kids, not talking about very young kids, but school age kids or teenagers or their parents need to reach us, or people like me, or just general do some self-education on the concept of abundance mindset, and stop giving, things like, don't go beyond your means and all that. I mean, like, it's all fear-based. That scarcity mindset is behind a lot of wrong that's happening in the world. As Mahatma Gandhi famously said, the problem is not hate, the problem is fear. Because we, even, for example, India and Pakistan, like, they don't hate each other, but the fear is, if one doesn't act, then the other will act. And what happens if the other acts first, then, so the thing is, there is the fear behind, we know that in society, people think loss of dignity is very similar to loss of life. So that's why a lot of people commit suicide before they are publicly named and shamed sometimes, or they reach a point where you see how many people die because of debt. I mean, it's so unfortunate. And, I read recently about, like, you are like about 3 to 5 times more likely to kill yourself than somebody else killing you, because, somebody said that the homicides rate is not even half of the suicide rate. So, and where is that stress coming from? Where, that you're so stressed that people end up taking their own lives. A lot of that is to do with either direct pressure that people take on themselves, or indirect pressure where there's parents saying, oh, come on, my son, you have to do this. If you don't do this, then this won't happen. If this, because even, and nobody wants to talk about money. Money is a dirty thing, but everybody is running around for money. Everybody's dancing for money. So the thing is, as in India, we say, paisa nachata hai, kind of, that is the thing. So, I think, money is something that one has to prioritize in their life. So, yeah.
Yes. So there's so much of pressure
Yes.
these days
Yes.
built on in the society, to the kids, to the growing up, to the adults, to even people who are at the stage of retirement, that
Yes.
they stop living their life, and they are, as you rightly said, they are running towards the money, but they
Yes.
don't want to admit it.
Yes. See, that is the thing, in our society, money is essential, but money is evil. necessary evil. I think that's the word. And sorry, to your other question, Monica, is about, anybody from, like, typically I would say anybody from the ages of 15 to 55. The reason I'm saying 15, because kids are getting very young these days because of social media and all. And unfortunately, I mean, a lot of them, unless their parents support us, I know it will be very hard for them to, fund their self-education these days. And they have so much of burden on them from the schools and colleges. So I've recently started developing a lot of compassion for people between the age group of 15 and 25, because I'm feeling, oh my God, it's that life. And I go back to my life. I have so much under stress because everybody's asking you the question, so tell me, what do you want to do with your life? Okay, so like, for example, your son, for example, they're going to start asking when he's going, okay, what subjects did you choose? Okay, did you choose science and all? And like, we've been conditioned to then straight away, the moment somebody says, okay, so tell me, what exactly do you want to do with your life? And we start thinking under pressure, oh, this person is talking, but as if to make a career choice, as if to tell, oh, what exactly? Whereas if I take that person aside, I mean, not your son, but it could be me, anybody, like, or anybody working, and I said, come on the side, tell me honestly, what do you want to do? You know what that person will say? I want to rest. I want to take time off. And I was that. And I think so many people would probably agree to this in private, that, forget about everything. Like, I want to be a doctor. Yes, I want to be a pilot. I want to do everything. But first, I want to rest, yeah. That is what a lot of people will say. And this is sad that, the only reason they can't do that is because they think if they will slow down and rest, then they will not only be poor, they'll be named and shamed. Everybody's going to call them lazy. I mean, being called lazy is a bigger slur than being called any other worst words in the language, So these days, and if I tell someone, oh, come on, you're this and that, maybe he'll take it as a joke. But if I tell someone, mate, you're good for nothing, aren't you? You're just absolutely useless piece of, like, that hits you very deep. That makes you like, okay, because one of our key needs is need for contribution, need for significance. The moment I tell someone that you're lazy, which means you're contributing absolutely nothing to the world, then that person feels, okay, I am worth nothing and I am like good for nothing, basically. So that's where a lot of these seemingly simple kind of statements, seep in really deep into people's subconscious. And then, and the absolute worst part of it is then when outside voice is quietened down, we unfortunately have been conditioned so much. Like, for example, I love my dad, and, he is the reason for a lot of my success. But at the same time, he was a hard taskmaster, as a lot of parents were back in the 80s. There was economic, desperate measures happening and all that. So as a lot of Indian kids would figure out, to wake us up a very early morning, like a military regime, like an army camp, he would wake us up. And if it's summer, he would turn off the aircon and turn off the fans, so we would get up. Or if it's winters, then he would take away the sheets, so we would have no option. And then as you would see in this movie DDLJ, you see that the moment Amrish Puri comes, Kajol is like, oh my God, dad has come. And then all of a sudden they pick up the books and everything. So everybody wants to look busy. Nobody wants to sit and do nothing, because what we do in this world is the moment we see someone sitting idle, we're like, hey, come on, can I tell you something? Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And the only time we really allow people to do nothing is when they're eating. And that's why a lot of people becoming fat, because that's the only time they are, including myself. And I'm saying I'm not a saint. I haven't fixed all my problems. I'm still, as I say, I've gone past that stage of proving, but there is still a lot of improving happening. Still a lot of improving happening. So even now I realized, oh my God, I'm not giving I cannot sit and watch my shows unless I'm eating. So it is not the other way around. Like, people sometimes will tell me, oh, so you can't eat without watching your phone or your shows. I'm like, no, it's the other way around. I cannot watch my favorite shows unless I'm eating. If you see, this is the difference. So the thing is that we really allow as humans to each other. So back to your question. So anywhere from the age group of 15 to 65, because typically, like, I think my sweet spot is between ages 30 and 50, where people have achieved a bit in their life. They will not have the FOMO. Oh, like, for example, if somebody achieves financial freedom at 20, a billionaire's kid, for example, probably for all his life, either he himself or the society will keep telling him, oh, you're the one with the silver spoon, you're the one with the silver spoon, you never proved yourself. So sometimes some things, and youth also sometimes say, oh no, I want to be different, I'll do it, I'm not into financial freedom, I'll work till 60. So they want to be cool, go ahead. But when you are 30, 35, you've done a few things in your life, maybe you're married and you're now starting to have in 30s, as we know, the weight starts going up and we start losing that sheen of the 20s and we start feeling, oh, and then, and then, a lot of society leaves you the moment you're getting married. It's like, oh, he's a family life now, kind of let him free. So that's when you get the time and you realize, so, and then that's when you can afford good coaches as well, especially one-to-one. So typically between 30, and that's when you need to invest as well. And so between 30 and 50 are our sweet spot. But even at 50, for example, the upper bracket, sometimes somebody has money, but they don't know how much they have. And sometimes you have to outsource that discipline. You really need to hire someone to sit down with you, keep you accountable. That's what a coach does. They are not only someone with structure, someone who would give you the confidentiality, who will not judge you. They will also, that's why we all, coaches need coaches. I've got a coach, you've got a coach, everybody needs a coach. And that's why I became a coach, because I'm a big believer in this product and service, because who else can I talk to about my finances, my family, my stresses, everything? I can only talk a little bit with this person, a little bit with that, but nobody is there who I can talk everything. So yes, I think even if somebody's financially free, they need to still talk to a coach. If it's to do with their finances, that's the number one thing, to figure, okay, I've reached financial freedom. And that's what I did, by the way, as well. I said, okay, I've reached financial freedom, but can you please come and validate? Have I actually done that? Or am I just bragging my own trumpet? And again, there's multiple levels of financial freedom as well. There's financial prosperity, financial independence. There's, you can go really high, but it basically means is that you have achieved that plan B, because plan A is that you go out, work, you get money, you feed yourself. But I want everybody to come out of that have to work territory and get to the want to work territory. Figure out what you really want to do. Forget about what world said. Forget about what you have to do. What do you want to do? The ikigai concept. So yeah, that's broadly, I think, the list of things that we go through.
Yeah, wonderful. So what I understood is, by applying the right strategies, you really can achieve that financial freedom in your life, and you don't have specifically to go till 60, 65, which is the ideal norm of the retirement and struggle and all that. You work because you like it, not because you have so much of burden, the financial burden on your shoulders. So, I mean, financial freedom can be achieved at an early stage if you're putting the right
Annie,
strategy.
that's why I hate to put a hard bracket on it. I'm open to talk to anyone, or even we've recently started a program called the Real and Royal Fellowship, which means that we are offering 1 year of learning for free. And the program is typically, suited to, let's say you have a son or daughter that you want to learn from someone like me, for example, and say, okay, how is this guy? This guy probably has a few smarts that he can share. Now, one way is you buy them this course and, they sit and watch videos and, maybe a little bit of calls and meetings and bit of access. That's the standard thing, which is okay. I'm not saying it's bad. But then what we are offering is, we are offering them to shadow us. And they can sit down with us for 1 year and they see, okay, how do we live our lives? How do we get up in the morning? What do we do? And when it comes to work specifically, I mean, I'm not saying, by the way, that they come and live in our house, but it's going to be a very close peek into our lives. A lot of shadowing. They could be on our calls. They could occasionally visit us as well. But the idea is they see, okay, how do I pick those stocks? For example, how do I pick my properties? Which professionals do I work with? How does the win-win work? Like, how do I pay them but still make a margin for myself? How do I do the trades that I do? How many decisions in the day I have to take? Okay, how do I take out time for gym, which is very important, by the way. And, that also is a money-making engine. But like the whole, if they spend time with us, I think we learn best either by doing or sitting next to and really watching someone who's doing. And maybe, they can also assist us and then learn in the process. So whole 1 year of learning for a youngster, if either themselves directly or not even a youngster, even if it's a 40-year-old, 50-year-old, and 40-year-olds are youngsters, by the way. I'm sorry to correct that, the new young. So the thing is, so they can do it, but there's a catch. And it's not a hidden thing, but what we do is we request for a security amount. And that security amount is not a small amount, but it's not a very big amount. Let's say, for example, it's $100,000. It's like you keep it with us for 1 year. We get to use it, but it's mainly, we give it back to you at the end of the year. But it does two things. One, you have your skin in the game. So you have to, that way you prove to us that you're serious. Either, you directly or for your son, you're serious. Second thing is that it also protects us because we are also exposing a lot of our insider tricks and strategies and, rules of the game, tricks of the trade, as they say. Nothing illegal, but at the same time, we have IP as well that we would like to protect, not just for us, but for our staff, for our partners, and we want to make sure that we are only onboarding. This is an amazing program called Real and Royal Fellowship. And then at the end of the year, they have seen how we make a decent return, like much better return than S&P 500, for example, much better than property in itself, much better than FD, and probably even better than having your own franchisee or starting your own business. I'm making a general statement, but typically that is the case. So if somebody is interested in that program, please reach out to us.
Great. So if anyone wants to connect with you, how do they do that?
Okay, let's keep it simple. It's hello@realandroyal.com. That is a simple email. Just say hi, Dr. Shak, if you want to call me Dr. Shak, and or Dr. Shakti Katyal. And you can also follow us on Instagram, Real and Royal Official. Go to our YouTube. Again, Real and Royal Official, you will see a lot of work. So you can see our work, you can validate us, you can reach to us. We'll also validate and qualify your seriousness, your intent and everything. Let's have a chat and let's take action, because let's not make this another podcast where you listen. Because as I say, knowledge is not power, knowledge is potential power. If you put the execution wheels on it. And the only thing that can stop people from not acting is, one, if they don't believe in themselves or if they don't believe in me. I think if you believe in me and if you believe in yourself, let's make this work.
Great. So coming back to your book again, writing a book is actually a big challenging work because you're putting out yourself out to the world to read it, to validate your work, and then getting the courage to get it published. And then the third step you achieved is your book got this Amazon best-selling tag.
Yes.
And now the fourth accolade is winning the award for your book, because it's a recognition, your voice matters, and you received this achievement of International Author Excellence Award.
Yes.
So having so much of accolade behind your shoulders, how does that feel?
Very, very lucky, honored, blessed, I think. But again, this empowers me to make my voice heard widely and deeply. I think it will just help, as I mentioned earlier, that it will help our audience generate that belief in me, my company, Real and Royal. And also, I would like to vouch for my publishers, Wings Publication, Dr. Kailash Pinjani, and yourself also, Manika ma'am. I learned so much, and that's the, one of the reasons we keep working on different engagements, and, one way or the other. It's like, you need a coach, a guru. Even in the ancient times, we had like Guru Dronacharya, for example, or, you need a guru. Like, it's even in the world of YouTube, it's very hard to just watch a video and just do it all by yourself. Very rare people would be able to do it, or with AI these days. So yeah, for me, writing a book was an ambitious task. But then, as I mentioned, Dr. Kailash and a few other team members came into my life, and we did some workshops, and then it was a very, very organic process. Nobody gave it all to us and said, oh, we'll do like, kind of God knows what's happening these days. People are writing books with AI, which is okay. I'm using AI. We're all using AI to some extent to generate ideas as a thinking partner. But, there's no ghost writing as such, as I'm saying. It's your idea, your title, you choose the whole steps. And then, as I mentioned, if it's coming from the heart, it will go to the heart. So, and this is a very generic topic because, as I said, everybody would love to rest, because the key concept in this book, by the way, that I always say, everybody wants to do earning. Everybody wants to earn, yes. Before earning comes learning. Now, a lot of schools and colleges are out there, and everybody's like, yeah, I want my son and daughter to study and study education. We've kind of made it a cliche, okay. Now, now, before learning, I always say there is healing. That's what I was saying, that, we're all sick, but the less sick amongst us is the one who's working on their sickness. And another beautiful learning for me recently, through a lady in Australia, she through her I learned that just because you're not sick doesn't mean you're healthy. That is the other thing. It is a profound learning for me that, oh my God, I don't have to wait. Like, what's health, for example? Health is not absence of sickness. Health must have some, and then we've demonized another good thing, protein. We've demonized muscle. We look at muscle and we think it's a goon, or you are like a boxer outside of so we why do I need muscle? Like, it's not cool and all that. And so before learning comes healing, because even if a child is sick, they will send him or her home, and they will say, I'm sorry, please take your child home. They cannot be in school because they need to heal. But for healing, you need resting. Even if the doctor gives you the medicine, they say, take this, but please rest, because it's your body that heals you. And now so up until the rest point is covered in my first book. Now my next book, Saying Yes to Laziness, and that book is basically taking the guilt out of rest. So behind rest is this stigma that we all carry, that if you're rest, we'll be called or labeled lazy. So I'm tackling that provocative topic. I'm going to get some flack, but I want people to be patient and understand I'm fighting for humanity. People like me are fighting for humanity's well-deserved right to rest. It doesn't cost you anything to rest, but it's just mental conditioning we have to get out of. But yes, back to the book. Yes, I'm very proud. Thank you so much. And I'm hoping that a lot of people read it and a lot of people become financially free as soon as possible, because that's when life really starts.
Great. So if anyone wants to buy your book, where they have to go?
Number one would be Amazon. But again, if they want to send me an email, hello@realandroyal.com, we will send them our first chapter for free. They can have a read, and we would then they can then contact us. We would also send them a link to buy the book from Amazon.
Great. So one last message that you would like to pass on to the readers who are listening to you at the moment.
Since we've had a very deep discussion, I would just say that the takeaway from here is that if somebody calls you lazy, take it as a compliment.
Wonderful. Many people want to hear this particular thing.
And give yourself this compliment openly, not privately.
Yes.
Yes.
As you rightly mentioned, that laziness or you are lazy is kind of stigma or kind of
a lot of good
slap
things
on your
have that negative connotation, but that's what we're doing as young age humans. We are telling people, okay, what we've been told good is versus what actually good is different, and that's what education, the gyan, is all about.
Great. So they'll find all these things in your
the $1 Million Nap.
$1 Million Nap.
That's the only book I have right now in the market, so grab that. But also get in touch with us at hello@realandroyal.com and let us do the rest. We don't bite.
Wonderful. Thank you, listeners, and thank you so much for joining us today and for this wonderful conversation. How to buy the book? The link is mentioned in the description box. And if you want to get connected to author Dr. Shakti Katyal, his email ID and all the links are also mentioned in the description box. So thank you so much for listening to us, and it was a wonderful conversation. Thank you, Dr. Shakti, for joining us today.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our listeners.
Thank you.